Hi guys. Over the next 21 days of COVID-19 lockdown in South Africa, I just want to share with you an incredible tool that I'm 100% certain is going, if you embrace it, you have to embrace it. It is going to just change your life. It's going to transform you. That big word that I put up there, metamorphosis, talks about the transformation of your life from one substance to another. I'm 100% sure from my own experience. These tools, these processes, this truth that I want to share with you is going to bring you to a proper realization of what your destiny is. And indeed, you will be able to experience your destiny. Now, my name is George Nyabadza. Some of you know me, and if you know me, I really would appreciate if you can just tell me where you're tuning in from so that we can pick it up from. Now, what is it that I want to talk to you about? Let me put a perspective to everything that we've got, that we're going to be talking about here. Our Earth is located in a solar system. It's located in the Milky galaxy. Now, the solar system is made up of planets, 8 planets. It's got dwarf planets, it's got stars, it's got comets, it's got a whole lot of things that are within it. But what is interesting, that Earth that is within our solar system, that solar system is only 2/3 of the way from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Now, that's a huge, incredibly big galaxy. Now, that galaxy is only just one galaxy of 100 billion galaxies that the world's top telescope scientists out in NASA have discovered. And they've got ways to test this. And when I came across 100 billion galaxies, I thought, wow, that is an incredible number. But I discovered that pretty soon, that estimation of the galaxies that exist is going to increase, is going to double to 200 billion as they increase the number of the strength of the telescope out in outer space. 200 billion galaxies. And we are just in the Milky Way galaxy, and we are just in one solar system within the galaxy. Now, why am I pointing this out to you? The reason I'm pointing this out to you is that everything that we see in a clear night, everything that that has been discovered out by NASA, everything that we read about in terms of galaxies was created. Everything is creation. So throughout these 21 days, I'm going to be talking about creation. I'm going to be talking about creation. When I talk about creation, I want you to remember, and I'll remind you, but in case I do forget as the days unfold, I will be talking, creation would mean mankind, male and female, that's you and I. Creation will refer to the Earth, our solar system, and the galaxy in which we find ourselves, and all the hundreds of billions of stars and planets and everything that is out in outer space. That is what I'll talk about in terms of creation. But I want to come back to mankind. I want to bring it back to you and I. You and I, just as the galaxies, as the stars, as the planets, are created beings. We are created. And just as complex as the galaxies are, as interesting, as intriguing, as mind-boggling the galaxies are, the human being, that's you and I, is just as complex and just as mind-boggling. And we are made up of 3 parts. We are made up of our bodies, physical bodies that we engage the world with. We have a soul, a human soul, but we also have a spirit. We have a human spirit. Now, as we progress through life, if you are like me and many others that I've come across in life, we always want to do our best. We want to find out the next best thing to do. We want to improve our lives. We want to go to the best schools. We want to drive the best cars, the best houses, provide for our families. We want to wear the best clothes. We want to be all that we can be. And as we progress, Maslow spoke about it quite clearly. Physical protection is the start, is the beginning that we all are pursuing. And then we progress beyond that. And as time goes on, as we mature, as we grow, as we acquire more things, we start to talk about self-actualization. We start to talk about developing our minds. We start to talk about human potential and being and doing more than we could ever have conceptualized. Now, in my own career, in my own life, I have done that. I've walked that journey. I've enjoyed that journey. I've explored the human mind. I have exposed myself to the best teachers of mind power, of how to access your subconscious mind, how to be the best that you can be, how to set a vision for yourself, how to decide your own destiny in life, set your own goals, set your own vision. And these are the steps to get to. This is what you do to access the power that's within you to create and achieve the life that you want. Now, what is interesting about that is that it is absolutely true, absolutely correct that you can learn how to access your mind, the powers of your mind. Because when we were created, as vastly complex as we are, our human souls have got a mind. The mind of the soul is got latent powers. It is incredibly powerful. Everything that I started speaking about, the discoveries that now amaze us, that boggle our minds, the discoveries about the planets, the solar systems, the 100 billion galaxies that exist, that will soon be 200 billion. All of those discoveries are possible because of the extent that the human mind has been developed. And when scientists say they will develop even more powerful telescopes to discover more galaxies, that's the human mind. And the power of the human mind can be applied to anything that we see in the world. All the systems of the world that we operate and live in have been developed by the human mind. So the human mind is incredibly powerful. Now, what is interesting about the power of the human mind, we tap into the strength of the human mind from two sources. We're either driven by fear or we are driven by greed. And everything that we then build is based on that, either fear of not having something, so then I must pick myself up, tap into my mind, and go and get all the things that I want in my life so that I don't experience the not having. Or greed, that what I have is not enough, it's not sufficient. I want to get more and more for myself, me, myself, and I. I want more of everything so that I can live the life that I want to live. Whichever one that drives you ultimately enables you, if you really are desperate enough to be driven by the fear or driven by the greed, to access your mind and the powers of your mind. Or some of us desire, talking about myself in particular, desire to have the best of everything. So over and above my normal academic skills and training that I went through, I started exploring with the best teachers that I could find just how I could access the powers of my mind. So I went through all the courses, mind power. I went through how to access your subconscious mind. I went through how to visualize and set the goal and pursue the thing that I want. I studied everything you can think of, the secret of manifesting X, Y, and Z. I studied all of that and I mastered all of that and I worked with all of that, and it gave me a lot of result in my life. However, I always found that somewhere deep within me, I knew that there had to be something more with life. I was always feeling empty within me. And no matter how much I tried, no matter how much I became excellent at what I learned about the mind and the human mind, it still fell short of meeting that thing that was within me. I mean, a simple question that I would ask myself, I mean, God created the heavens and the earth. So why am I feeling so frustrated and so limited in my life? Why, in spite of everything that's around me, am I feeling empty? How can I access the best of everything? How can I access that power that created the heavens and the earth? And despite knowing about it, and most of us, depending on how you grew up, a lot of my friends, a lot of people that I've coached, they've been exposed, they've heard about a lot of things that I'm talking about, but they've never had the opportunity to break away from this thing called the human mind. This thing that controls us, that dominates us, that puts us, that helps us create a life that we absolutely enjoy until things fall apart. I mean, what the world is going through today, the COVID-19 threat that we are facing that has led to all of us being locked down, that has created a lot of panic and fear, because all of a sudden the thing that we've created, that I would have created in my own life, the systems that I've built, the protection I've built for myself, it fails. And when it fails, because that is all that I know, panic sets in and fear sets in. And what do I do then? My business has been built on that. My life has been built on me being able to do things, to fix things, to get up and make things happen. My relationships, my marriage, my everything that is life is built around that. When that fails, what do you do then? And I'm hoping that over the next 21 days, instead of living in fear and panic, that you may find the opportunity to discover a completely different way of thinking about life. So let's get back to talking about us as human beings. So as complex as the galaxies are, that is how complex we are as beings. So we are one being, one person, if you want to think of it that way, but we have three distinct parts. We have a body, we have a soul, and we have a spirit. And the mind that we live in, that we've always lived in, is the mind of our human soul. It is the mind that has provided for us, that has provided technological advances, that has enabled us to provide for our families. But that mind is locked up within this time and space, within this body. It does not have the capacity to grasp a superior mind. And that is what I want to talk about, the mind that created everything. The mind that created the heavens, the earth, the galaxies, and everything that is still being discovered, that is still to be discovered, that may never ever be discovered. That mind is available to you. That mind is a mind that you can access. And that mind is the mind of Christ. Now here's the thing. And I need to say this quite clearly so that as we progress, as we carry on over the next next 20 days, because the first day is almost gone, that we have absolute clarity about the differences between the mind of the soul and the mind of Christ. The mind of Christ is the mind that takes residence in our spirit. So we are one being. We have a body, we have a soul, and we have a spirit. And in our soul is the human mind that, talking again about myself, I've become so good at developing, so good at working with, and it provides us what we need to deal with the fear that drives us, or to satisfy the greed that drives us too. But that mind has its own limitations, because its end objective is either to create success for your life, whichever way you define it, or to lock you down in abject poverty. And irrespective of whether you get success or you experience poverty, when you navigate through life, when you end up in a situation like COVID-19, the anchor that you have in your life collapses completely. And you end up being driven by complete fear and panic because you have no base. When you look out in the world and you read all the stories of what took place leading to the time of COVID-19 lockdown, what is taking place in a lot of people who are posting things on social media, you can clearly see how panic has gripped them. People are uncertain about the future. People are worried about their ordinary lives, let alone their jobs and their businesses. There's just a lot of fear and uncertainty. And a lot of people, unless they find a new anchor, are going to experience a lot of mental anguish. Now, the mind of the spirit, our human spirits exist and enable us to connect to the mind of Christ. And the mind of Christ, if you can access it and tap into it and live in it, irrespective of the storms that you experience in life, irrespective of the storms that you experience in your marriage, in raising up your children, in your business, irrespective of COVID-19 or any other pestilence or virus that may hit the earth, you will be anchored, you will be at rest, because you'll have discovered and you'll be walking in a power that is outside of creation. It's in creation, it created creation. Everything that I spoke about at the beginning, the massiveness of creation, the complexity of us as beings, and the massiveness of everything that's created. It was created by a mind, and that mind is the mind of Christ, and that mind you have access to. You are able to transition, to that word metamorphosis, from being stuck in the mind of the human mind and tapping into the mind of Christ. And there is a massive difference between the two. They are chalk and cheese. They are diametrically opposed. One is this side, one is the other side, 180 degrees apart. It is impossible for you to transition with your human mind into the mind of Christ. You have to leave one and access the other. And the difference is very simple. With the human mind, it is all about effort. It is all about works. It is all about striving. It is all about the grindstone. It is everything you achieve, whether you end up with success as measured by any criteria, or whether you find yourself locked down in abject poverty. The mind, the human mind, the mind of the soul, which is diametrically opposed to the mind of Christ, is all about works. And I've been there. If you go into my bio and click on my LinkedIn profile, you can see everything that I've experienced, generally experienced through the corporate world. The work, the sweat, the hard work, the grinding, the pulling myself up and pushing everyone else down just to strive and get to the top and drive myself until I get to the top. That's how you access the powers of the mind. It's all about works. But the mind of Christ, well, that's a completely different picture altogether. It's not about your works. It's not about what you need to do. It's incredible. How do I have this mind that created everything inside of me? Is that possible? Can I adopt and live with the mind of Christ? Can it be my mind instead of the human mind? It is possible. But you come into this mind with a full awareness that you don't have to do anything. You just have to accept it. You just have to to realize it. You just have to know it is there and you accept it. And then by wisdom, by revelation, you will come to the knowledge through your human mind of all the tools and the resources, the incredible reservoir of strength that is available to you that you can tap into. So the mind of Christ, when you adopt it, when you embrace it, when it comes into you, and it doesn't come anywhere else but into your spirit. You see, your human spirit does not have your human mind. They are distinct parts. You are one. Your human mind is in your soul. The mind of our human mind is resident in our soul. The mind of Christ enters into our spirits. Our spirits will recognize and have a relationship with the mind of Christ. Because our spirits are living entities, living beings that have the capacity through their own mind to access the mind of Christ. So we're talking of two different things. The mind of Christ, which we access through our spirits and the mind of our spirit, and the human mind, which you can build a pretty good life by human criteria, by accessing the human mind powers, the subconscious mind. I know all about that. I've coached people through all of that you can. But that mind, the human mind, cannot give you the one thing that you want. It cannot give you your destiny. It cannot give you clarity of who you are, so that you know what your destiny is. You can concoct your vision, you can pursue a vision, but you still live in frustration. However, if you adopt the mind of Christ and live by the mind of Christ, that mind of Christ will reveal to you your destiny and exactly why you are on earth. And when you connect to that destiny, your eternal destiny, that comes from a source that is outside of creation, my friend, you have peace and you have prosperity, you have rest in the midst of a storm. You are able to rest in the midst of a storm. You're able to arise in the midst of a storm without panic, without fear, and walk out of it calmly. So over the next 20 days, my invitation is that we work together. I've been on a 2-year journey of discovery into the mind of Christ. I attained success as measured by the criteria of the corporate world. I've run big businesses. I've worked in different countries. I've sat in the highest level of boards and executive committees. I've done incredible things in the corporate world. I have developed myself. Beyond that, I've invested my own time and effort to become a practitioner in how the mind works. I've attained the highest levels, if you want, in the academic world through my doctoral studies. I've become an executive coach. I know how to work with people. So I understand all of that. But over the past 2 years, through a series of interesting experiences, which hopefully over the next 20 days I'll be able to share with you in some bits and pieces, I came to realize that there is absolutely nothing that I can master in the mind of my soul that can connect me to my destiny. I've always been someone who wants to live a purposeful life, a meaningful life. And in spite of everything, I could never find the meaning. And I'm so grateful that just as the world has come to a shrieking halt with COVID-19, and I literally mean the world has come to a shrieking halt. The financial markets have collapsed. Businesses have collapsed. Countries have come to a halt. Countries that thought they were safe and secure have come to a halt because of COVID-19. I went through a personal experience where, in spite of everything that I thought I had and I could do, everything came to a halt. And I was fortunate enough that over the past 2 years, I've been exposed to the mind of Christ, because my human mind and all its skills and trainings and capabilities could not take me beyond where I was, could not take me out of the storm that I was experiencing, just as the world is experiencing COVID-19. The solution lies in the mind of Christ. But I'm talking from a personal experience, and I'm hoping that as I expose you to the mind of Christ, I mean, I've got files and files of handwritten notes, and the 21-day lockdown came upon us as a surprise, and I decided to use the opportunity to share with you. So everything is still very rough. There's still notes, there's still files upon files. It hasn't been formulated into a nice coaching program. But I'm a coach. I love coaching. I love coaching people. So I'm sharing with you the mind of Christ, and I hope to join you. So if you want me to discuss anything in the next broadcast, go ahead and type it in the comment box so I can prepare myself and be ready for it. But I'll be back again the same time tomorrow, 6 p.m. I'm in South Africa. It's GMT +2. So I'm George Nyabadza. Thank you very much for making the time to hear about the mind of Christ. And I sincerely believe your life is going to change as you tap into eternity and an eternal power. Thank you.